Dear Greg, I like to try different things. I put solar panels on the roof of our house. I'm thinking about putting up a windmill for power. And I landscape our yard in unusual ways. But no matter what I do, my wife has some sarcastic or critical thing to say. Every single time. I'd love to have a partner, but instead I live with a critic. And I'm tired of it.
Today we'll be discussing a topic I haven't talked about much before, here or in print. And it can be potentially very useful in our efforts to understand and accept other people. We'll call it everybody's different. When we don't feel enough real love in our lives, we feel desperate. We feel like we're drowning, which we have discussed before. But what I haven't discussed much is that the closer we get to each other, the more we are affected by everything that other people do. To go back to the drowning metaphor, imagine that you're drowning. You can barely keep your head above water. If you've never been close to drowning, let me tell you, that is a terribly frightening condition. Your life is at stake. You are struggling with all your might just to keep your nose barely above the water, and you're succeeding by only the slimmest of margins. In this condition, almost anything that doesn't help you becomes potentially deadly. So, let's say that I happen to be rowing by in a boat where you're drowning, but I don't see you. And I smack you in the head with one of my oars as I'm rowing. Now, if you were a good swimmer, and you were healthy, and you were not drowning and in a good mood, it's possible that you could find this a relatively insignificant event, maybe even humorous. My oar would push your head underwater for a second, but you'd just bob right to the surface and everything would be fine again. But if you're drowning, hitting you in the head with an oar would be devastating. It might even be enough to finish you off. Now let's suppose that I happen to be drowning next to you. If you were healthy and a good swimmer and trained in life-saving, you might take advantage of this opportunity to save my life. You might actually find this an exciting and fulfilling experience. But if you're drowning, my drowning could be a disaster for you. I'd be splashing you, which would put water in your face. That alone could drown you. I'd be creating waves in the water, which could wash into your nose and mouth and drown you. I might even get close enough to grab you and pull you under. In short, if you're drowning, there are so many things I could do that might push you over the edge and terrify you or even threaten your life. Not because of what I did, but because of your drowning condition. It's the drowning that is the problem, not me. So, what does this have to do with the problems that you're having with your wife? We'll talk about that in our next session.